So yeah, I really believe, like, I remember when Kizomba was just starting in Portugal, when it was just starting, when Afro House was and back then it was called Afrobeat here.
Mm.
And I was like, no, Afrobeat is something else. But here in Portugal, Afro House was Afrobeat, and it's interesting. Like in France, Kizomba was, I didn't, nobody was using the word Kizomba like in 2002 when I was coming to Portugal and go to parties, perform. It was more like Passada, Venturinha, etc., etc. And
Mm-hmm.
in France, it was the Cap Verdean parties where we would call it Cabozouk, and in the names just change from a place to another. That's funny, and it's the same thing for
It
for
is.
music, because people don't really. I mean, I think the only place where it's really well organized is actually the house music, the dance music. Where like every genre has a name, every variation. The first person to do is like, oh, I'm gonna call this like this, and at least you can navigate through all the genres, and
Or
without feeling lost to what is what, in compared
hmm
to in Zouk and Kizomba, where yeah, like people are still fighting to know what is the name of things, where they come from, and nobody's trying
yeah, that's funny, right?
to do some
That's really funny
research.
to me, right? And it's so interesting now. Like everybody's trying to say that, oh, Kizomba is this, Zouk is that, oh, this is not Zouk, this is not actually compiled. This is it's like, dude, come on, man. But
Enjoy.
a lot of people don't understand. They don't try to understand, and then they take whatever they take for for granted. And it's like
Yeah,
it's like yeah, this is what it is. It's like Afro House. Like people come and they have this idea, this preconceived idea that oh, you're the Afro House guy. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. But then people just or they limit you or they corner you, and sometimes it's so frustrating as an artist when you know
yeah.
things and you like and you hear guys like literally. There's a documentary out there right now that I'm seeing, and it's like those guys are calling themselves like the kings of Afro House. Some of them are, some of the guys in the documentary are, and I'm like, I'm not trying to diss anybody, but it's like most of the guys are not, like not because I'm trying to claim no fucking titles, but it's like because I don't give a fuck about trying to be a king of anything. But it's to me, it's interesting to see how people try to paint a narrative, and I spoke to you about it. I was actually frustrated that when I called you on the phone, and you were like, well, don't be frustrated, you know, tell your story, let's work on telling the story. And I was like,
Yep.
I got you and I understand what you mean, but it's just that at the end of the day, it's interesting that, you know, um, people will always be doing whatever they'll be doing, you know. And it's like, you know, it's frustrating because it's like, yo, you are talking so much shit, you're talking so much nonsense, like because come on, man. Yeah, I get frustrated at times,
You
but
know, the thing is this. I believe that a lot of people are frustrated. I remember me 10 years ago. I kept talking to
okay.
people who had the power to do something, and I kept
hmm
being frustrated because they wouldn't do the things I believe that needed to be done for Zouk, for Kizomba, for whatever, for the market. From a business perspective, from an art perspective, from a culture perspective. I've always said
hmm
why nobody writes books, why everybody just wants to be in the club and party or DJ.
hmm
Why nobody says,
hmm
"Oh, I wanna write about the culture," so that, because a lot of our culture has not been written because we were not in control of the writing, the publishing, all these things. Today, you don't even need, if you want to write a book, you can write your book and set it online. And at least the people who are interested in the knowledge will have a way to find your opinion, your version of history, and whoever has another version. And then at least they can compare. The problem with a lot of people, including us for a long time, is that we love to complain about those who did it, because if there's nothing, it's a blank canvas. The first one who will come and say, yo, all Kizomba Zouk Kampa comes from Angola, if he's the only one who is saying this, everybody will believe him. But if somebody comes and actually comes with something that is with dates, with like etymologic history and everything, to say it's a way more complicated than that. It's a story of the movement of culture, and same thing for Afro House. If those people took the time to and the effort to make a documentary in their own glory, well, if there's nothing else, then they become the truth. Because at a point, the more, if you are the only version, you become the truth. And I believe that it's important for everybody to be able to tell their stories, especially when you look at those documentaries. What do you need to make a documentary? You just need a guy with a camera and a microphone. That's all you need. And interviewing some people, having some conversation, cutting everything together into a 20, 30, 45, 1 hour documentary. When you talk about the things, put some images, talk about like the different, because I believe that a genre is never one person. A genre is always the confluence of a lot of different people who find themselves more or less doing the same thing. I know that I got my own slice of genre in the Zouk Kizomba that is called Candy Zouk, but Candy Zouk would not exist before without Nichols, without the influence of Jean-Michel Rotin, who was doing Zouk R&B, without Ali Angel, who was doing a Zouk that had a different feeling, without Real C, and then without the influence from Portugal. And then same thing for Cap Verdean music. You had the big influence from Kassav, from Zouk, from Kompa, and same thing for Kizomba. So it's not just one person who comes and say, oh, it just came from my ass. No, this person has been influenced by something. But if this person and everybody else and us, we don't tell the story, well, one day we're going to wake up and there's going to be a Netflix documentary about Kizomba or about Zouk or about Afro House, and you're going to have a bunch of strangers or newcomers or parvenus who will just come and say, yo, I was there and I came with this thing like the ancestral, by ancestors and from the soul, and that's how I invented ancestral soul. And yeah, and if nobody asked, but wasn't it Boddhi Satva? And it's gonna be like, oh, yeah, big respect to him, but no. You see what I mean? The thing is, if everybody's just busy doing the music and not sitting down and also controlling the narrative,